was a parade in Dallas that I covered on Veterans Day. Haven't even uploaded any of the video yet. There's about 58 videos, I believe, from Veterans Day. Maybe 400 and some pictures. This is what it's about. Remember not only our freedom, but the men and women who died for our freedom. My name is Dan Getz. I'm an international independent blogger. My blog is at www.dance41.blogspot.com. My YouTube channel is 1213-1966 Dan. I've been involved with Occupy Dallas. I came in as a reporter about 8 days ago, and I've left as an occupier. I attended the city council meeting for the first time. I've been in Dallas for a long time in this area, and it was my first, I'm ashamed to admit, my first city council meeting. And the Latinos and the blacks are highly misrepresented by the city of Dallas. The population has changed. There's about 71% minority, and yet they barely have 50% of the representation through Latino leaders. Currently, the city of Dallas has 8 white members, 3 blacks, and 3 Latinos. What it needs to be is 5 whites, 5 Latinos, and 4 blacks to adequately represent the city of Dallas. The city of Dallas is very corrupt. They do not handle their homeless. They do not handle the mentally disabled. While I was in the camp, I witnessed multiple times the compassion, the patience, the wherewithal, with additional help at times. We cannot do it all, but I saw much more accomplished by people that are compassionate, that care, that love this country, that are tired of not being represented. This is a democratic nation. And it's time for the people to be a true democracy, to have a voice. We are not anarchists. We are not socialists. We are highly capitalistic. But the problem is that we represent the 99%, and the 1% are the ones running and ruining our country. There is money, billions and billions of dollars being fed to large corporations to influence our politicians, to influence our legislator, to actually have law created on hidden and corrupt agendas. Banks are bailed out and there's no accountability for the money that is handed them. Corporations go out of business. The executives walk away with huge severance or basically hush money. That's my opinion on the hush money. But you know what? Who loses? The 99%. The Americans that are homeless, the Americans that are mentally disabled, the middle class is losing. There are more homeless middle class right now than ever before. The place where our leaders are at in Washington, D.C. has the 3rd highest as of 2 months ago. The labor statistics show 12.2% unemployed. Here we're toting around this 8 point whatever and 9% as an average, but Washington, D.C. has the 3rd highest unemployment rate. And that unemployment rate, let me tell you, is not even the right number. When someone goes off of unemployment and basically has exhausted all their unemployment benefits, or they have to take something much less or accept a job for much less, those statistics go away. Nobody really knows what the true unemployment is. But conservative estimates, guesstimates, whatever you want to call it, put it at more like 25 to 30% of our great nation is unemployed. Will someone rise up? Will someone take a stand? Will someone collectively say enough is enough? Sarah Palin, I have appealed to you. I think this is the time. I think this is the hour that you were born for. Just as Esther in the Old Testament, she was born for such an hour as this. This would be unprecedented. This would be historical. This would be a time in history where the first woman, we've had our first black president, and unfortunately, he has failed us, and it's not because of race, it's not because of the color of his skin, but as a leader and as a man, he has failed us. As a politician, he has failed us. He has not followed through on the promises that he has made. Sarah, you are not perfect. You have made mistakes. You do not have a perfect family. You don't have a perfect background. I don't know. I don't believe that everything in that book was true, but I believe that generally there is some truth in anything that is put out. And I believe that if you would create a clean slate and say, you know what, I'm not perfect, I've made mistakes, I don't have a perfect family, but I am not a politician. I am a woman who has principles. Sometimes I don't think before I speak, and I'm going to work on that. But I believe as the first potential lady U.S. president, first woman to be president, as an independent, it's not worked in the past, but I believe that times have changed. There is a core of Americans. There are occupies all over the U.S. and the world. But for us in our country, it would take some work. But I believe with the right imaging, with the right approach, with the right down-to-earthness of rolling up our sleeves like we did in the 50s or 60s and getting after what we were meant to do to defend freedom, happiness, and freedom. I love this country. Sarah, I know you love this country. And I think you got discouraged when the book came out and didn't know how to defend yourself or what to say. I don't know. I believe it is time to step away from politics. I believe it is it is an hour to return as a public servant, to true public servant. Forget the money, forget the influence, forget trying to please the parties. You're here to represent the people, and I believe the people are mustering. We have seen in New York our rights and our freedoms be taken away. We saw last night in Dallas. I do not know the outcome. I don't have contact with the news. But I have a girl in my house right now that has mental instability issues, and she knows it and she needs help. But the city of Dallas cannot help her. Occupy Dallas has helped her to the extent that we can help her. And I believe we can find a place. I'm preparing to talk to the Allen Police Department. I have connections there, and they are out of Richardson, Plano, Dallas. Allen is one of the most stellar, honorable police departments that I've ever come across. I have had personal experience with Dallas. You call them out from my place of residence, which is in Dallas County, and it takes 45 minutes to an hour when you're reporting someone being beat to death. That person didn't get beat to death, but it was very serious. And they show up, and it's done, and then they're like, there's nothing here. What are we here for? And then they send out 3 cops. You know, overkill. I've seen it over and over again in the last 8 days. Times where the police needed to be there, and they weren't. Times where they really didn't need a presence, but yet they bullied themselves and showed aggression and like they were all that. Last night, they had troops. I think the National Guard was called in. I've heard reports of that. The streets were blocked off. I don't know what the outcome of last night was, but I knew that this girl needed to get to a safe place. Her name is Misty. You've been watching the footage. And I'm trying to help, and occupiers are trying to help. We could have sent her back to her mom, which struck her the other day. I don't know the situation, but it was not safe to turn her either over to the Dallas police or to her, even her family, because I don't know. She doesn't even know her dad. So Sarah, I make an appeal to you. I ask you, for the sake of the people and the country you love, for the men and women who have given their lives for this great nation and for our freedoms, will you reconsider? Will you lead us? Will you lead us into solidarity? Solidarity. Can we come into agreement on the few things that matter? And life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is all we are asking. Justice for all. Fairness. Justice. Justice. Let justice rule again. What is occurring in Dallas, what is occurring in New York, what is occurring all over the nation and the world is unjust. We cannot take on all the injustices of the world, but we can address what we can at home and on our soil. Sarah, I'm nobody. I'm Dan Getz with Dance for One. In the past, most people have thought I was crazy. But I see a future, I see a hope for our nation. And the down-to-earthness, the no-nonsense approach to calling it like it is, in someone like you, is to be admired. I offer whatever help I can offer to help you become our next president. If that is some grunt work behind the scenes, I will be there. If it's helping you write whatever, publications, advertising, I have a BA in advertising, graduated from Texas Tech. I have experience, 20 years experience in the accounting, financial, operational analysis. Senior financial analyst was financial/operational analyst was my last position about 16, 17 months ago. In between, I've delivered pizzas, I've drawn unemployment, and I've done contract work. But I'm a survivor, and it's not about me. What I'm trying to communicate to you, Sarah, is I will help you in any capacity that you want. It shouldn't be about money as to who becomes our president. So much in our nation is driven by money, by huge advertising budgets. Huge, huge dollars thrown. As for me, I am a leader, but I'm not a person that has ever desired. I would never touch the President of the United States, that position. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I do not want glory. I do not want honor. I want to serve. And typically, and maybe this will change too, typically vice presidents are kind of the behind-the-scenes man that takes care of things and pushes and promotes the leader and lets them do the work in front of the nation, the hardest work, the hardest job that anybody will ever have. But I think that you have the caliber for that. And I know there's a lot of great candidates for your vice presidency, and I don't care. I am just telling you that I will do anything to help your party and help you succeed. This is Dan Getz reporting live from Dallas, Texas. from the Chatham Court Apartments, 1111 in Dallas. I am a blogger. Blog is www.dancefor1blogspot.com. My YouTube channel is 12131966 Dan. You can find my email. I'll give my email. It's dancefor111, the number 11 at yahoo.com. I am also an active member, and I am a leader. There's no leaders, there's nobody in charge with Occupation Dallas, but I've held actually several leading positions already in my 8 days. I served as security as the second day. They call them peacekeepers. I've had to break up several fights, have done several things that had to maintain the peace in our camp. When fights break out, they are generally from outside the camp, people that wander in, homeless that do not have a place to go, mentally disabled that nowhere else do they know to go. The Dallas police, at least at one point, were directing them to us to help us, and then getting all mad at us because we helped them and that they were there and that they were causing problems. I will say that I served yesterday as a member, as a concerned citizen for a situation regarding, I think I already talked about this, regarding the Latinos and the blacks. They are not represented fairly in this city. Read about it. It's 5-4-5. That is what needs to happen. 5 whites, 5 Latinos, 4 blacks. Right now it's 8-3-3. 8 whites, 3 blacks, 3 Latinos. The minority, which consists of 71% of Dallas, is not fairly represented. That's one issue that we were able to go and muster concerned citizens and show up, and the look on their faces, and when 30 to 40 young Latinos that are all college students took off the day to show up and say, enough is enough, City of Dallas. You have railroaded your views, you have done your good old boy approach, and it is time for change. It is time for fairness. It is time for justice. I'm going to close with this. I'm actually going to quote 2 things. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That is the unadulterated pledge of allegiance, even unadulterated pledge of allegiance. Even in our nation, that that truth is being challenged. Words are being omitted, even by the media. NBC left out one nation and under God. I think they left out under God. I'm not sure about the one nation, but they left out several places. This is a quote that was on the Dart Rail. It says, "When a man hath no freedom to fight at home, when a man hath no freedom to fight for at home, let him contend for that of his neighbor. Let him think of the glories of Let him think of the glories of Greece and of Rome, and get knocked in the head for his labors. To do good to mankind is the chivalrous plan, and is always as nobly requited. Then battle for freedom wherever you can, and if not shot or hanged, you'll get knighted." That's by George Gordon and Lord Byron. I don't know the dates of that particular quote, but that really struck me. So I would call to the lands of this all over the world, if your fight, if there is not a fight, if your freedoms are free, please help your neighbor. Please help the U.S. And I would say the same thing to Americans. If things are all quiet on the Western Front, so to speak, then help your neighbor. Stand up for freedom. Don't be afraid to speak your opinion. Don't be afraid to fight for justice. Don't be afraid to shed a light on what has been shrouded in darkness. My fellow Americans, may you be at peace. May you stand up for justice. May your heart's cry be to say and do and act out in a way where justice abounds. Thank you. And I look forward to talking to you more. And stand with Dance for One. Thank you and have a great day.